All right. Well, here we go. Well, man, thank you, by the way, for doing this. Is a treat for me. I'm such a fan and of of everything you've been doing for the last 20 years, and but also of this in particular. And so that's obviously what we're here to talk about. And I have a lot of questions. So for I know you've this is probably well-traveled ground for you because I think a lot of people have been asking you, but I'm gonna if anybody's watching this, it's I'm sure because they haven't heard you talk about it. And so I just have to I have a let's just start with we'll start with just how the project came to you and
Yeah,
because the partnership you have with Ryan is incredible and you guys work so beautifully together. Obviously, this is like a creative this a partnership that you guys found each other and it's great for all of us that you did. And so was it a script? Did he call it? Did he say I have an idea? Did he say or did he just drop the script on you? Like how did this end up coming to pass?
yeah. When you work with somebody that you know really well, and you guys have that shorthand and comfortability with one another, it's a warm call no matter what. So I was actually calling him to pitch an idea to him about a project. And he was like, and he listened to the whole pitch and everything. I went through it, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, oh man, that's great, man. That's also sounds really cool. But, actually I was thinking about this, and he repitched Sinners to me. And halfway through, the story that he's telling me, and I'm listening, and I'm like, I kind of forgot about the idea that I called that I called to talk to him about, and then he dropped on me the fact that they were twins, and then he brought in the vampire element like midway through the pitch. So for me, it was like this kind of I wasn't expecting it at all, and but once he started diving into the story and the reasons why and how personal it was to him, and just the world that he wanted to build, I was all in. So by the time we hung up the phone, it was like it was an immediate, it was a yes, which it normally works that way with him, you know.
Right, right. I would imagine that would be my reaction.
Yeah, yeah. And it was a
I'd say
fast.
yes, then I'd hear the pitch.
That's usually what it is because he's not calling for no reason, and he's so thoughtful, So he's only going to bring something to you that he knows for sure that he wants to do, and and a lot of the things are already lined up. Like this is a go thing. So yeah, he pitched to me. He sent the script over. I read it. I cried. I laughed. It was a lot of there was moments in it. In particular, this one surreal montage, this scene, that a lot of people like about the film, where they go through the history of the blues and the evolution through different time
Yeah,
periods.
yeah.
And reading that on the page was incredible because when you get a script and you don't really you're reading it how you're interpreting it, and you're like, okay, cool, I wonder how this is going to pull this off, or how this is going to be done, or what exactly it's going to look like. And that was definitely a moment in the script that pulled me out of the page and really dropped me into the world in a big way. So yeah, that's kind of how the script kind of came to me. And then it was like, how are we going to do it? Like, how are we pulling this twin thing off, and starts walking through that process.
Well, that's what I really am fascinated by. Because you first of all, the workload for you got to build two characters. But the I just the technical I maybe it's going to be like me and you geeking out on this thing and nobody's going to watch it, but I really want to know because I can't imagine like just the I'm just technically how do you do
Yeah.
scenes essentially with yourself, like the timing of it, I mean I assume every we're always on a budget, so I assume you're doing the scene as either smoke or stack, and then you're doing a quick wardrobe change and then going right back into it. I mean, but each scene is, obviously they're going to play differently. Obviously, you had somebody with you, clear, like, just walk me through that process.
All right. So huge technical component to it, of how exactly we're going to shoot it on a daily basis, going to set. But the work never starts there, but and starts at home. And for me, it's always been journals. So I've always kind of written backstories and journals for all my characters, and starts at that, whatever that childhood trauma is that I think all people have at some point in their lives that they carry with us, and either at some point in their life they talk about it and address it and try to move past it, or they bury it deep and they don't it's too painful or too traumatic, and they act like it never existed. They want to move on. And for the twins, they had a very traumatic childhood, in particular when Smoke, killed their father, and it was I found it fascinating that this character canon moment, character defining moment, but told through two different perspectives.
Hmm.
Like you and I can go through something, and then you can tell your version of the story, then I'm gonna tell mine. And will be slightly different. So creating those two different perspectives for Smoke and Stack was a lot of fun and pretty challenging to do. And Smoke being the older twin, feeling like more like the caretaker, and the father figure amongst the two of them, and Stack being a bit younger and a little more ambitious and creative and getting them into a lot of shit that Smoke ultimately has to get them out of. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And the how they actually manifested that into the physical, you know. So with Smoke, he doesn't talk a lot throughout the film. Like when he went, like he has a slower cadence, and he only speaks when he needs to. And Stack is the guy who ultimately, he wants to talk about everything. He's a fast talker. He talks slick. He'll lie to you. You know what I'm saying? Like he'll say whatever it takes to get to the next thing. And working from that childhood trauma was really, really important to me, because I'd like to think that the nuance between these identical twins is unlike any other relationship that exists, because they make up one person. They're two individuals, but they make up one person. Usually one twin is really, really good at something, and the other twin isn't so good at, because I'm always around my identical twin. So why would I need to know how to do this one thing when he does it all the time for me, and
Right.
vice versa. So we tried to create those moments for the twins at times where you really saw them dependent on one another, and uh, how different they were when they were separate, and how much they relied on one another, which was a lot of fun. I worked on dialect, worked on my chakras, you know what I'm saying, and where they were hiding their pain at, and how that dictated how they walked, how they rested their body. Worked on, I wore one size shoe too big, for Smoke, because again, he was slower. I didn't want him moving around a lot. I wanted him planted. And when you have an
Uh-huh.
or a size, a shoe size too big,
Yeah.
it doesn't make you feel like you want to move too fast in any direction. So
Yeah,
that
that's
was
great.
a help for me. And for Stack, I wore a half size too small, because I always wanted him kind of fidgeting and moving
Yeah.
and moving around a little bit. So that helped me a little bit to in the physical form, and how they you know and how they treated everybody else around them. I think their dynamics and their relationships with the other cast really helped, distinguish the two of them. So that was a big part of that development. And that's just the character work, that we kind of do in establishing these two guys. So once we actually got to set, and we were working through the technical, how we actually going to, accomplish these scenes, and we used a techno dolly for a lot of those scenes where
Hmm.
we were going to have both the twins in the same frame, and with multiple cast members. So I would have to do multiple passes as each twin. So in rehearsals, I would have to work with, I had a twin double, that I had a body twin double, and I would, so whoever I was going to go with first, say I was going for Smoke first, I would rehearse the scene as Stack for my twin double to see, and I would try to think through as many spontaneous choices or alts or different versions, or just spontaneity in general as I could, for what my Smoke was going to do
I
once
don't think people watching are going to appreciate how hard this is, like what you're saying. Like
It's
that is a degree of difficulty that I don't know that people can appreciate who don't do this. That that is
and
that is unbelievable.
but
And so your double is watching you and you're trying to run through every every variable and because it's like you don't know, oh my god, like you can imagine how the scene will play, but you don't know till you play it. Like the scene, like what you were saying about the other, when they're separated
yeah,
and those differences being teased out like against the other cast members. That
correct.
makes total sense. Then that worked beautifully because I mean,
Thank you.
number one, the rest of this cast is lights out. They are
Crazy.
just everybody is just fantastic. Like just I mean, they're just baller after baller that you're working with. Everybody did a beautiful job, and that's
Amazing.
like that. I understand. It's like you're working with grit, but when you're trying to do it with yourself in an imagined scenario, and you're
Hmm.
dealing with the techno crane, so you're locking off the timing eventually, right?
Correct. Correct. Correct.
And is that like so? Is Ryan in that process going, I like this? How did that feel? That felt good to me. Like that's I think what we want to the wall we want to put up against Smoke is you go to play Smoke and then you're going to come back and you're going to do it with like
So,
walk me through that one.
no, I appreciate this so much because I don't get a chance to go this in depth with everyone because like you said, a lot of people don't really understand like the process and it's kind of long-winded to kind of like talk through a little bit. So some of it was trial and error and a work in progress, like from day to day to realize, okay, this is a formula that I think will work better for me and for us, and making decisions and what choices are going to be the heroes that we're going to be married to.
Right.
But a lot of it started at me at the house, just like in the mirror and just walking through a scene with Smoke and imagining the most like what's what's the most interesting version of this dynamic between my sibling, and what does he want in this moment, and go through the different slick looks or witty comebacks or whatever it may be from my brother at the time, and then how would Smoke respond to that? So I would have to compartmentalize the two, but then also like just walk through the different, like I said, the spontaneity, the improv that I didn't realize I wasn't going to be able to have on this movie. And that's one of the greatest things I love to work about with Ryan is because, there's always this, this improv, this freedom to take swings in the moment, and takes. And now I had to like really premeditate them in a real way.
Yeah.
So I would have to talk to Twin Double. I would have him watch me walk through it as, Stack without Smoke. You know what I'm saying? Because I haven't even jumped in that side of the car yet. So I said, all right, we're gonna walk through the scene and he'll watch. And I'll loosely be in certain areas, or I might think about going over there, but just for eye lines and for the other people, other cast members to kind of reference where I would be at. So then once we get that locked in, I'll jump over into Smoke and I would run it through Smoke based off of what I just did as Stack, and I would get some, the feedback from my twin doubles guy named Percy Bell. I would go through that process, and then I would do it as Smoke, and then I would jump over, change again, and then I would do it as Stack. But before I did that, me and Ryan would go back to the monitors and we would look at the takes that I did as Smoke and be like, "Yo, do you like this? Do you like that? You know what I'm saying? Is this the one that we want to lock ourselves to? We'll choose a take that we like, a timing that we like. We'll lock ourselves into that, and then
That's what I wanted to ask. Yeah, because
yeah,
I assume so Ryan basically on the fly has to decide which take he wants in his movie,
and
which
that's
is
it. And on the day,
on the day, in the moment.
in the moment.
Like that is just, I mean,
So while I'm changing, he's going through his favorites. And then by
yeah,
the time I go through my process, going to the trailer, taking off the costume,
yeah,
listening to my musical cues, like the songs and the playlist and the blues and the things that got me into one twin versus the other.
yeah,
And by the time I'm getting finished, getting dressed, and I tried to be as fast as I possibly could, because the timing element of the time that we had
yeah,
shoot throughout the day. By the time I got on the set, I would stop by Ryan. We would look at the ones that he selected. I would talk him through a little bit of what I was thinking, on the other side,
yeah.
and all right, cool, that's the one. And then we will go in the process of doing it all over again with the other cast members and myself again. And sometimes because you know with the IMAX cameras, are you working with them? They're not sync sound, so like it's not even close, you know. So having to have the dialogue either in the earwig wig at first for some of the other cast members, so they could hear the timing of it, so they could be spot on. We tried doing it with speakers, earwig. Sometimes it would be a completely silent pass. Sometimes I would do it with nobody there at all, and it'd just be like a one-man play. It would just be me on set, just kind of going through the motions, and I'll just remember where everybody was and like loosely, like where eye lines of where everybody would be at, and I would just have to do it that way. So it really depends on the scene and how many people were in the scene. Really determined what technique we use to actually achieve it. And if they're split, they're on other sides of the rooms. There's singles and coverages and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no,
Those those were easy.
yeah. But just the first of all, the amount of preparation, right, that it takes to build both of these guys, right, and then be able to on the fly essentially flip a switch, right?
Yeah,
But that's changing your wardrobe, you feeling that, listening to you, like getting back into that guy, but then coming out and doing that sometimes by yourself. Sometimes, that
yeah, yeah.
I just it's incredible.
No, thank you, man. It was yeah, it pushed me beyond my limits on this one, and then some. Like we always love the opportunity to show, things that you might not have done before or push yourself beyond your comfort zone. And this was definitely, that one for me. And, obviously with the technical aspect of it, like we had this Halo rig with all these, things like, 12 cameras around that I would have to do each performance like by myself again, just to kind of make sure they got that. So if I needed to face a replacement at any point, they could for certain
So
for
they
certain
had the
moments.
halo on set, and you would walk through in whatever lighting you were in, and you would
Correct.
go through the scene again with the halo rig on.
Correct. So each time I would do that for each brother at the end of each setup. So before we moved on to any to the next shot, I would
Yeah,
have to do that with
for each setup.
for each setup. Yeah.
For each setup.
Yeah. It's no timing wise, bro. I mean, like our first AD and with Coog and and our cinematographer Autumn, the way we crafted our days, and we're down in Louisiana, in New Orleans shooting, and the rain and the weather, we got everything thrown at us on the shoot, and in hindsight, every obstacle added a certain piece of character or specificity or something that made it to the screen and made it what it was. But in the moment, we're scrambling, we're down for thunder, oh, lightning strike, damn, we're down for
Yeah,
another 20 minutes.
yeah.
Okay,
Well, and
cool.
in this day and age, yeah, we never have enough money. We're always battling to make our day. We're always fighting the light.
Correct.
And this is just a technical kind of. It's just masterful what you did.
Well, thank you, man. And what you said before about my cast members, man, like having an incredible cast because like this is the first, man, maybe the second time, but like first real time through and through where, you know, I ain't gonna say method is like, but it was, when I showed up as Smoke, I wasn't as approachable. I wasn't talking as much. It was an energy that I wanted to bring to set
Yeah,
each day. And at first, I was a little self-conscious about it because I was like, I don't want anybody to think I'm mad at them or anything like that. But I made it a point earlier on to talk to everybody, the cast and crew, and just be like, look, Smoke's not really going to do a lot of talking, and I don't want you guys to feel any type of way if I'm not really approachable in that way. But when I'm stacked, complete opposite.
yeah,
You hear
yeah.
me, you hear
Come
me a
talk to
mile
me.
away. So that was all. That was a good, something I could look forward to when I step on set. Is like I know that I had all the elements that was going to help me believe the illusion and stay in that pocket for as long
Yeah.
as long as long as long as I needed to. So yeah, it was incredible.
Did you ever have the experience of doing the scene as, say, Smoke first, and then doing it as Stack, and then you and Ryan felt the need to go back and do Smoke again?
Yeah, those were like the sound the alarm days. Cause like
Yeah, but
if I had to,
they have to. You have these discoveries that happen, right? It's like that's why we're there.
it's so good, we got to go back and marry that one because that's new hero.
Right.
I would, knowing that I couldn't really do it and it wouldn't match, I couldn't really stop myself artistically from not giving a choice or doing a choice that felt honest to that
Good for
guy
you.
in that
Good for
moment.
you. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's also the comfortability that I had with Coog, you know, and that relationship, you know, to make that happen. Because if it might not have been that day because of just the pile up that it would have caused to go back, we would circle that and we would find a way to get back in it, you know, at another point in time throughout the schedule. So that was also, you know, and you know, and if I felt strongly about it, it was something that he know I'm not bringing it up for no reason because I know what this is doing to the production by
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
this. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? He knew it was important, so then we would go get that if we needed to.
That is the key to a partnership like that. I mean, well, first of all, he knows you're a director, you're a producer, you're a filmmaker, so and you must have that level of trust
Correct.
and you both clearly put the piece above yourselves or your own egos. It's all about what makes this the best it can be. And but I just the degree of difficulty in what you're describing is really it's spectacular. It's really something else.
Means a lot, bro. To come from you. Thank you, man.
I've
Yeah.
never had to do anything like that. That is just, I mean, I mean, just the level of three-dimensional chess of trying to figure it out. And that's really smart, by the way, this idea of, because the wardrobe is going to be an indicator to the audience, particularly in Act One, before we get to know you guys, right? So it's a helpful kind of handhold for us coming into the piece, but like the tighter shoes and I mean, that's like, Coppola did that to me 30 years ago. He wanted me to be uncomfortable walking into a scene and he put rocks in my shoes.
Oh shit.
And then he just said, be comfortable. But
That's
those little cues to your body, right? It's like,
yeah.
if you're uncomfortable, you're trying to play it off like you're comfortable, right? So he just
Exactly,
made
man.
me uncomfortable. And like that
Yes.
idea of the shoes, it's like, Stack is like, he's moving. He's got it. He's like
He's
twitchy,
he's
like you say.
he's twitchy. Yes, yes, man. And that's and those things they go such a long way because you don't think about them anymore. You're just there, you
Well,
know?
and which is the goal, right? But what's amazing to me is that what you're talking about is, and this is what I also believe, not as a like a method thing, but as a real energetic thing. There's a certain kind of energy that a scene has or your
Mm,
character has, right? And it's you want to sit in that while you're working, right?
yes.
You don't want to be taken out of that and like you know suddenly you're thrilled and you're happy and you're supposed to be at a funeral or whatever it is, right? So you want to live in that energy, but you're talking about two very different people,
Mm,
right? And you're
mhm,
playing them on the same day
mhm.
in the same scene
Yeah. It's like
against each other, but there's no one there
that you know
like
what it
that.
is? I, I
I don't
started
know what that is.
it's kind of I started planning in my head like them two they're in a relationship with each other, you know, and I started thinking about like my longest relationships, best friends, you know what I'm saying, siblings, you know, the people that have known me the longest, you know what I'm saying? And and you start to come up with like, all right, I wonder if they kept track of who was right and who was wrong. You know, there's got to be a tally.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I like what's the score between these two brothers? You know what I mean? And so I started creating those little things because I feel like there would be a outstanding argument
Right.
that they never resolved
An overarching kind of, yeah, yeah,
from childhood to present day. They've had this thing of who is right and who is wrong, who knew business, who did not. This way, my mentality doing this way versus your mentality of doing it that way. So I kind of put that in the back seat of like of both of them, you know,
mm-hmm.
in whatever scenarios they would be in. And in my what I came up with was like, you know, smoke was up, you
Oh,
know,
for sure.
smoke. But the crazy thing is like smoke's up, but only because Stack forgot to score. Because technically Stack's up, but Smoke refuses to tell. He won't tell him. You know what I'm saying, that he's up. So he just like, as a parent would do, as a big brother would do, as a he shit. Technically, he's up, but I can't let him know that because I would never hear the end of it. So I
But
need to hold that over him.
I would argue that Smoke also, when Stacks needs to be rescued, Smoke like that counts for a lot. Like
Oh,
when
but
Stacks is
yeah,
down, you know what I mean? Like so in Smoke's mind, he's probably like, he's up, but I'm really up.
but I'm really up. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And but that type of those layers that are just
Yeah, yeah,
playing
yeah,
in the
yeah.
in the back, like really just add to like those when I do switch to the other side, I it's so crazy. I can be the ultimate devil's advocate. I can make a choice as Smoke and full heartedly believe with conviction, and then I could just and argue this point, and then I get a chance to go on the other side and argue the complete opposite if I wanted to. And that's fun to get to do the both extreme sides. I don't have to find the middle ground.
Yeah.
And with the two of them, they ultimately always, but they're they're so protective of one another. If anything ever came I'm the only person that can talk to my brother like this. Nobody else. I'm the only person that can get this tight with my brother. Nobody else. So playing on that dynamic was also a lot of fun too. The relationships. Because when I was talking to a lot of identical twins and asking them a bunch of crazy questions that that actors do to try to get familiar and learn a new skill, new craft, a new character. Um, is that when you know with relationships, you're never dating one of them, you're dating both of them. Like so, it's always you always get it's always they're always a package deal, which made me really get a better understanding of the dynamic between Stack and Mary and Smoke and Annie,
Hmm.
and how the other brother represented what they couldn't have of the one they were dating,
Right.
because because half of him was always going to be with his brother. So they never felt like they were fully getting all of him, or all of Smoke or all of Stack. And Haley and Woomy, fantastic, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
mean, incredible. And they bought into it too. So when I was Smoke, Haley wasn't really around, or it was conflicting energy between myself and her, and I was always with Annie. Me and Annie were always around each other, and when I was Stacked, I was way more engaged with Haley, but super like overly nice to Woomy and Mary. I mean, and Annie, because I know Annie didn't care for me as much. You know
Right.
what I'm
Right.
saying? So Stack was always trying to, smile in the face,
Overcompensate.
overcompensate big time, big time, big time. So I got a chance to play those dynamics in between the cut and action. You know,
Well,
uh,
how great to have a supporting cast that supports you off camera, right? Which you need, right? You really need that for to try to do this high wire act that you were doing. Like how and because it really comes across in the performance and in all those dynamics read so clearly. And it's a beautiful like orchestral it's just everybody together just
thanks,
does
man.
just beautifully. What the play? We're running out of time, but let me the there's such a sense of place and time,
Mm-hmm.
and so was there like what'd you read about that time, that place, that I mean, obviously there's the music, so I'm sure you were listening to a ton of music, but were you going through old photographs? Were you going like what in that research process? Like what was that
Yeah.
like?
So like, you know, 1930s Jim Crow South, um, and old photos. I'm trying to find the best way to kind of describe it. Like there was a feeling of being on set down there on those, on those sugarcane plantations and cotton plantations. You know what I'm saying? And understanding that that's where my ancestors were. That's what they did. That's where they lived. They were sharecroppers. They fucking walked the land. They lost their lives. They sacrificed so much on those land. So being down there, there's a weight. There's a there's a weight to being there, and you're in the wardrobe and the sets, and you're there. Um, and listening to blues music, and like you said, looking at old photos and having conversations with my mom and my great aunts,
Mm,
and you start to realize, like, we only know our grandparents as older people because they're our grandparents. You know what I mean? But then you slowly realize, or I started to slowly realize, it's like, oh wow, they were 25 at one time. they were
right.
they
Yeah.
were in their
Yeah.
late 20s and early in 30s, and I started thinking about, like, man, trying to find some relief or entrepreneurship or ownership, or at this time trying to find, like,
Yeah.
find some peace and some freedom and happiness, within these harsh times. And it became a love letter to them. So going through old photos and hearing them telling me the stories, and also, you know yeah, that whole that being down there in that environment, and really diving into my family's history even further, because my mom's side of the family is from Hope, Arkansas, and my dad's side of the family is from Shreveport, Louisiana. So
Mm,
definitely
yeah.
so hearing their stories, it was but also, this wasn't the reason why I love this movie so much, is because it showed, African Americans at that time smiling and laughing, and being regular people, doing normal things, as much as they could, or the reality would allow them at the time. And it was this other experience, of the 1930s, that typically, when movies of that year, don't lean into that side of it.
Yeah.
So it felt a sense of pride, and determination from the twins to take their experiences from, because they're the only ones that left outside the community. Everybody else you see in the film, for the most part, stayed in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Like, they were
Yeah.
there. So to have these characters go to war, and serve in the army, and then, come back, and then go to Chicago and work for Capone, and understand how the gangsters and the business and all that stuff works, and then get all these technical soldier skills, this and then come back to the hometown and be like, okay, well, I've seen this and seen that. How can I take everything that I've learned and apply that to my community, and get my friends and hire them and come together and build this thing together. That 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 was that was very satisfying,
Yeah.
and
It's beautiful. And then the realization that it's doomed,
that
right?
is doomed. That
From the beginning, you
from
know,
and and the
it's
system
just,
was set up for them to fail
yeah.
for the very beginning.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, just that era and that time period, the environment, it's still so relevant today.
Yeah.
So it was satisfying to play.
Well, it's an amazing movie, and it's a masterful performance. It
Thank you,
just
sir.
really is. And I, I can't. I mean, I'm still. The next time I see you, I'm gonna bend your ear more about it. I'm still
Let's
the
get into
technical
it,
side of this is like, I hope people watching can understand the degree of difficulty,
man.
um, and for both of these performances to be so good, under those technical conditions,
Mm.
on top of it being IMAX and you're earwigged, and I mean, just it's just it's yeah. I don't think you'll find a more challenging role in your career. Maybe you might, but I don't know how. I don't understand what that might be. Um, but congratulations,
Thank you so much,
congratulations,
man.
and congratulations, by the way, on the success of the film. It's brilliant. Obviously, it's taken the world by storm. It's a massive, major hit. It's everything it deserves to be.
Man,
It's be like every technical department just absolutely did beautiful work. It's just a great film, and completely unique and wonderful, and why
man.
we all make movies.
Man, means so
So
much, man. Thank you, bro.
thanks for taking the time, and to anybody who's listening, thanks for watching,
Yeah.
and
Thanks you
keep it
guys for
going. You're just making so many great decisions. It's just fun to just root from afar at your career. You just got it all, and you're really doing it right.
I appreciate you, man. Like I said, you were one of the early people, early in the career, you and Ben, who definitely showed a lot of love and support and just appreciate the constant just friendship, and yeah, man, I appreciate you, man.